One is just a general curiosity. We're in a field that is just ripe for adventure and exploring new ideas, but it requires people who are willing to go beyond the surface. You may have heard sort of the sales technique of when you're trying to understand a customer's needs, asking why 5 times. When you see those little kids that are running around going, why? You know, if you were one of those kids, this is the place for you. It requires us to be curious beyond the surface level, to go deep. And if you think about the businesses that you really admire, or the advertising that you really admire, great businesses, great advertising are grounded in great insight. And that insight comes from people who are willing to go deep and understand what motivates people, why decisions are made. And
in one of the last job descriptions I wrote for our group, we put one of the requirements of being curious as hell. HR made us change that. But it was still the same. We left it as the notion of deep curiosity, and this is this element of asking why, but it's this passion of understanding behaviors and perceptions and what drives them out of people. So being interested in people, that's really what you're getting into, because you're not really researching markets, you're researching people within those markets, right?
One of the things that it's probably always been important, but I think it's becoming even more important, is the ability to not only have the technical skills of a market researcher, but also communication skills. With more and more data, whether it's big data or whatever you want to call it, I mean, we are absolutely inundated with information. And people who have the technical ability to synthesize that data into insights, but also importantly the communication skills to be able to translate that to people who don't have technical backgrounds, is a huge skill. So if you're strong technically, analytically, and you're strong from a communication, storytelling, or even things like data visualization standpoint, that's a great combination, and I think it's one that is not very common.
But I think most important is to think about your mindset and to force yourself to have a growth mindset. Don't have a fixed mindset. You can have any background almost, as we've heard today, but if you have a growth mindset and you're always trying to think of new ways to do and solve problems, you can be incredibly successful in this career. Don't always go back to how it's always been done. Be willing to try new things and to innovate the way in which we get information.